Wow, this is a breaking news story. So we just got the names and some exclusive information about the Trump campaign staffers who allegedly assaulted a worker at Arlington National Cemetery about 10 days ago while they were trying to take photos in a federally prohibited area named Section 60. Now, Trump is entitled, and it seems like that has rubbed off on his campaign staffers who also feel the need to be entitled. Let's break down the story. We have no time to waste. Make sure you leave a like on the video below and make sure you subscribe to this channel. So, this starts with a tweet from Tara Palmieri 24 hours ago that reads, "New leak, Trump co-campaign managers Chris LaCivita and Susie Wiles warned staff in internal email to stop talking to the press less than an hour ago," this was yesterday, "with the threat of termination. There must be a hot story in the works." And oh boy, was there a hot story in the works. Let's skim this email. Chris LaCivita said, "Team, Susie and I have always said that this is the best team in politics." Really? The Trump team? Trump doesn't even listen to you guys. He just does what he wants either way. "And each day that passes," writes Chris LaCivita, "we are reminded of how true that is. Everyone has made sacrifices to elect President Trump. Throughout this campaign, we have sent periodic reminders of our communications and press policy when interacting with reporters. Unless you have been authorized by senior leadership or have received permission, you should not be independently speaking or communicating with members of the press. We have done a great job of preventing leaks, and that has been because everyone knows what the policy is. Information is power. As this team moves forward, we only have 61 days. Success requires buy-in, and it jeopardizes everybody." And he's saying if one of us goes off course, it is over for you. And now we have this massive, massive story. And can I just note that Donald Trump has made the entire situation worse with every step that he's taken since this has happened? I mean, he goes on stage and he says wild things about the Medal of Honor versus the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Then his TikTok doubles down and posts videos from that Arlington National Cemetery event. Then he triples down and posts more videos on Truth Social. This man just does not know how to navigate a PR crisis without making everything much worse. So, this article is titled, "Trump Deputy Campaign Manager Identified in Arlington National Cemetery Dust-Up," and the information is wild. "One of two staffers involved in the altercation at Arlington National Cemetery is a deputy campaign manager for Donald Trump's re-election bid," NPR has learned. The former president insisted this week the incident did not happen, highlighting a growing disconnect between the messaging of the candidate and his campaign, because J.D. Vance said at a campaign event about a week ago that the altercation was justified because they thought they had permission. He called it an altercation and said they thought the staffer had permission, so he's trying to justify the assault. Donald Trump, he hasn't learned the Donald Trump tactic of just saying you weren't even there in the first place. He doesn't even know what Arlington National Cemetery is. NPR is identifying both staffers after the campaign's conflicting responses to the incident last week outside Section 60 of the cemetery, where many casualties of Iraq and Afghanistan are buried. The two staffers, according to a source with knowledge of the incident, are Deputy Campaign Manager Justin Caparoli and Michael Picard, a member of Trump's advance team. And I was able to find some information about Justin Caparoli. It says, he is an experienced advanced and operations professional with an extensive background in developing the strategy and overseeing the management of complex projects and events. Apparently he can't follow simple directions. And look at this guy. This looks like a guy who would strike a staffer, doesn't it? It kind of just looks like a guy who would do that. I don't want to typecast, but just look at him. He looks kind of like Jared Kushner type. Most recently, Austin led the advanced operation for the Donald J. Trump for President Inc. campaign, where he oversaw the budgeting, management, and production of over 1,000 events across the country. In 2019, Justin served blah, 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 so we know enough about him. This article goes into more detail. Caparoli is a one-time aide to former First Lady Melania Trump, who left the White House to work for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis before returning to the Trump campaign. Again, this is Justin Caparoli. This is the Trump campaign official who did it, according to NPR and their sources. He was also listed as the on-site contact and project manager for the Women for America First rally in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, 2021, where Trump urged the crowd to, quote, "stop the steal" before some of them stormed the U.S. Capitol. So he was one of the people that oversaw these rallies. After Trump participated in a wreath-laying ceremony on the third anniversary of the deadly bombing in Abbey Gate, which J.D. Vance called Abbey Road, a Beatles album, at least he listens to good music, in Afghanistan that killed 13 U.S. service members, Trump visited Section 60 at the invitation of some family members and friends of the fallen soldiers. ANC rules that had been made clear to the Trump campaign in advance say that only an official Arlington photographer can take pictures or film in Section 60. When an ANC employee tried to enforce the rules, she was verbally assaulted by the two Trump campaign operatives, according to a source with knowledge of the incident. Picard then pushed her out of the way, according to 2 Pentagon officials. So it wasn't this guy, it was Picard that pushed her, which is honestly wild. Let me play you this clip of Donald Trump's former Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, saying that the Trump campaign definitely did this.
He was in Section 60, which is the burial site for service members recently lost. Apparently this visit turned into some kind of physical incident, and it sounds like people who were on the staff of the cemetery were trying to block a Trump campaign photographer from going over and taking pictures of Trump there at the cemetery. Your reaction to that? I mean, my understanding from visiting Arlington National Cemetery, I was looking at the website this morning. I mean, they have a lot of rules and restrictions prohibiting election-related activity there. What was your reaction when you saw this?
Yeah, I saw the breaking news this morning about this, the story that came out. It's important that a report was filed. I think it should be investigated. We should find out. During my tenure as Secretary of the Army, I was kind of the so-called custodian of Arlington Cemetery, since the Army has responsibility for it. And there is no more hallowed ground in this nation than Arlington Cemetery, where we've been burying our heroes, our veterans, since the Civil War.
Very well said from Mark Esper. This article continues the campaign's conflicting messaging on the incident. After NPR first reported the altercation last week, a campaign spokesperson, Stephen Chung, said they were prepared to release footage of the incident, but they never did, and attacked the Arlington employee as someone, quote, clearly suffering from a mental health episode. Chung also said they were granted access to have a photographer present and pointed to a statement from Gold Star family members that invited Trump to attend the ceremony. The campaign also released a TikTok video that included video footage from Section 60, where you're not supposed to take video. And then J.D. Vance said that there was an altercation. Donald Trump said it was a made-up story by Comrade Kamala, while Stephen Chung was saying they were justified. J.D. Vance was saying they were justified. Take a look at this video from Navy veteran Heather Ryan, who breaks it down perfectly.
My name is Heather Ryan. I served in the United States Navy during Operation Desert Storm. It has taken me an entire week to come to terms with what Donald Trump did at Arlington National Cemetery. The gravity of the awful is so terrible that it actually makes me want to cry. The veterans are supposed to be made of steel, and so it's really embarrassing to emote about something like this. When Donald Trump said that POWs like John McCain were losers, that meant my great-grandfather was a loser because he was a POW during World War I. But I pushed that off. Whatever. And when he said that my grandfather, my dad, my brother, and myself were suckers for voluntarily serving this nation, whatever. I pushed it off. But when he disrespected our fallen heroes, veterans don't ask for a lot, but it would be nice for our president to respect us. Donald Trump has no shame and no honor. As a veteran, I will never support that man.
Very well said, and I don't think it's embarrassing to emote, as she said in the video. I think it's absolutely necessary when it comes to Donald Trump. The Army released a statement last Thursday acknowledging that a cemetery employee, quote, was abruptly pushed aside, and the campaign was warned ahead of time the prohibition against photography and political activities. Am I going to trust the Army, or am I going to trust Trump's campaign staff? Let me know in the comment section below, who do you trust more, and make sure you leave a like on this video to boost the message.